6, the Metropolitan Discretionary Response Fund. And we have 3 items to consider here: Presbyterian support, CIAS and the Free Theatre. And we've got recommendations around all 3. The recommendation on the Free Theatre has in fact changed, and the thinking there is that it would allow some more detailed work to be done by the committee, who would then make a recommendation back to council. It just gives the benefit of a little bit more time to consider this more fully, so that the committee can then make a recommendation back to council for council to make a decision at that point. Mike, welcome to the table. Did you have any comment you wanted to make on the report? Okay, do councillors have any questions?
Obviously I wasn't here for the informal. I was quite happy to move item 3 that we do make that funding now. And just my question is why we're referring it back to a committee for more work. Who? Yeah. So that was my question. Yeah, I mean the thinking was that there have been some discussions with that group in the past, and the thinking at the informal this morning was that it would be helpful for the committee to be able to have a more detailed discussion with staff and to better understand the reason for the recommendation, and maybe to find a way through this so that they could come back to council with a recommendation from the committee. We just thought it was a better way of working that may get to a point that you would be comfortable with anyway. Cool, thank you. Tim.
The other reason was that we think it's quite good for the committee to start that relationship with the Free Theatre and to start building that. So.
Aaron.
Yeah, my question is actually of Raf. Were you thinking of going against the staff recommendation and just recommending they did get the funding, Raf?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, just finished no why.
We didn't actually sound that out this morning. I'd second that.
Well, I'm happy to go to the committee.
I think the thinking was that sending it to the committee would allow for a more detailed discussion that may end up at that point anyway, rather than having staff come to the table and explain all the reasons for their recommendation. That might be a discussion better had at the committee. Tim.
Well, part of the reasoning of going to the committee was to build up that relationship, so we're not here in 12 months and 12 months and 12 months, and so we get a better decision. It might take a wee bit longer, but it's going to be a valued decision to build up that relationship, because if we just say yes and no, it doesn't do anything in 12 months. So let's build some resilience and some relationships with the committee and the Free Theatre and go forward from there.
I think that's important.
And that's what we discussed this morning.
Certainly something we did in the last term of council, and it's something that I'd be quite keen to see to continue in this term. Jamie.
Quick question on this, Mr. Chair. Obviously, we spoke about this at the informal, but I'm just wondering, and please tell me what I'm missing here, but if the rationale is that the council probably doesn't have that information to make that decision, the relationship could be improved, so we're sending that to the committee for the committee to do, wouldn't it make sense then for the committee just to make that decision? Because then it's only going to send it back to a group of people then that haven't built up that relationship. So I think we either trust them or we don't. Would it not make sense just to simply delegate it to that committee? I'd be a starter for that, and I think that it just saves everyone a bit of time.
Sounds like a good suggestion. Can we get some staff advice on that? Is that a decision that council is able to delegate to that committee for them to make the decision?
That, yes, they
could I move that we that 3 is that we delegate to the community committee to make the recommendation, or make the decision rather? I just think that for the people that aren't then on that committee, we're back into the same situation again.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So, so refer the application to Free Theatre Incorporated Free Theatre wages of the Management Administrative Social and Development Committee for consideration and decision on the application. So that has that wording has the effect of delegating the decision making to the committee.
I think we probably need to include the word delegate.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And delegates the decision.
Yeah, for consideration and delegates the decision on the application to that committee.
Yeah, perfect.
And that makes it absolutely clear. And that means the committee can do the detailed work and then make the informed decision at that time. Yeah. Great, thank you. So we'll continue with questions. So I've got Phil and then Mike.
So, thank you, Mike. With that last application, I just wondered when it comes to the committee, if information around the events that have been held, what theatre events and what actually has progressed since your current report will be useful.
Sure.
And probably it's a good idea, Phil, as chair of that committee, for you to have some conversation with Mike about any extra information that you might need in order to enable that fuller consideration of the application that we're talking about. So in many ways, the very reason for referring it to the committee is to allow for that further detailed information to be available. Mike.
Thanks. Just a quick question about the application from Presbyterian Support. In the past, it looks like for the last 4 years they've been funded $20,000.
Right.
Why the increase to 30?
We've just got Gail coming to the table. Gail will assess the application.
I'm Gail Payne, the Older Person and Disability Advisor. The reason is increase in client numbers and increase in frailty and complexity of clients, and in order for those people to still be our residents and living in our community, they need a service which is specific to their needs, and this is quite a creative one. I can give you the numbers. So in 15-16 year, they had for this service 35 volunteers helping. They now have 55, and they supported 100 people. They now support 150. Okay. So that's the reason.
Thank you. Okay, so do we have a mover for these resolutions? Tim, seconded by Phil. Okay, so Jamie, we've picked up your amendment in there in the main body of the resolution. You're comfortable with that? Yep, that's great.
I don't need to move it if everyone else is happy with it.
Yep, no. All right, that's great. So is there any debate on this? Phil?
Just a point about the Presbyterian Support one. To me, it really stands out, and I think Gail has answered about the increased work that is happening. But also just to remind councillors, that it's actually in the report, that council are part of Health in All Places policy. That's what we sign up to, and this is an outstanding example where, as Gail referred, where this organisation, from a community level and from a professional, clinical, social work level, work in this area, and it's I think it's great that we are able to support it.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you.